being yourself is hard when you are a perfectionist, because it's like you don't know who you are. This is still my dilemma. I cannot believe that I was being such a robot. I was such like a little muppet, not doing anything I wanted to do, but just projecting all of these like perfect things, doing the right thing, being by the book, just so that I could escape people judging me. I'm sure some of you guys can relate. Like if you're feeling lonely, sometimes you feel like you have to mold into someone else to make friends. If you're scared of what people will say, you're scared of the criticism, it's going to stop you from achieving your dreams. Today's title is very unnecessarily dramatic, but are you a perfectionist or are you just insecure? I have had a little bit of a quarter-life crisis after I read this book. It's essential reading for anyone who would consider themselves like, you feel like you can't be yourself, you feel like you're a people pleaser, you're too scared to just like be who you want to be. The book is called The Power of Vulnerability and it's by a woman called Brené Brown. I am obsessed with this woman. Ever since I discovered this woman through this book, I'm just obsessed. I have recently learned, just because you call yourself a perfectionist, you think that you like doing things right, you want everything to be by the book, that's all well and good. You know, maybe you're really good at your job or really good at your work, you're really good in school because of that, but it might be a cover-up for insecurities. When I clocked this from reading this book, I was literally like, oh my god, like my whole life is a lie. Like I'm not actually a perfectionist, I'm not actually like, you know, a hard worker. I want things to be done well, I want things to be great, I want things to be good. It's actually just because I'm like insecure. And like deep down, I feel like everything I do has to be perfect and really good and amazing, otherwise it's just not good enough. Like it's a sign of low self-esteem if you can't accept and be calm and cool with the fact that some things are going to be mediocre, some things are going to be like meh, and like you need to be okay with that, because we are all meh sometimes. Like, oh my god, I feel like my world just been spun on its head. Like that has changed the game. In the book, she spoke a lot about how we are perfectionists because we are trying to avoid judgment. Like you convince yourself and you tell yourself over time, or maybe your family has told you that you need to be better, you need to be smart, you need to work harder, slimmer. Do you know what I mean? Like they give you these little nuggets and these little statements that make you think over time you need to change in order to be better and to get rid of your insecurities. When really, perfectionist people that genuinely are perfect, which no one's perfect, they still get judgment. Like you're trying to be perfect, and I was trying to be perfect in school, get the perfect grades, fit in, don't stand out, let me just blend into the background, do well in school, get my A stars, be perfect, be a star pupil, and then I won't have insecurities. People won't judge me, people won't talk behind my back. People are going to do that anyway. Like you cannot escape judgment. I cannot believe that I was being such a robot. I was such like a little muppet, like for so long, not doing anything I wanted to do, but just projecting all of these like perfect things, doing the right thing, being by the book, just so that I could escape people judging me. I don't want people to talk about me behind my back, I don't want the girl to say things, I don't want people to laugh at my shoes, I don't want, do you know what I mean? Like I was changing myself, wearing different things, changing my hair so that I could avoid all these things, but people will judge you anyway. Being perfectionist is a scam. Like it's not going to get you the outcome you want. If anything, you'll exert all this energy changing yourself to get the same result that you were going to get anyway, when really you should just be yourself. Like I remember I was in school, it's not even that deep of a story. I remember I was in school and it was like quite a rainy day, so basically I couldn't wear my normal school shoes. Instead I wore Dr. Martens, and I had a phase where I was obsessed with Dr. Martens. Ask anyone I went to school with, and my mum knew this as well, like she knew I loved Dr. Martens, and I had this pair of like black Dr. Martens boots, which were my first ever pair, and I remember I was so excited. I walked into school super happy because these were my favourite shoes, and in the toilets I remember I overheard one girl in the changing rooms being like, oh my god, her shoes are so ugly, and I literally was just like, I was just so, I don't know how to describe it, you know when you just feel like so like, oh my god, like I'm not good enough, like I'm like, what I'm wearing is ugly, people don't like me, people don't like what I'm wearing. Like I just felt like people didn't like me because I didn't have any friends anyway, I was on my own a lot anyway. Oh, that was the nail in the coffin. I'm never wearing these shoes again to school, and they were my favorite shoes. Like I was obsessed with these pairs of shoes. Literally up until that point of wearing those shoes, I was doing everything I thought was right, you know, keeping quiet to myself, not making any like, I was never trying to like be myself and show my sense of humor, because I was like, what happens if I'm not funny? What happens if I'm funny but I take it too far? What, like, you know, a million different things. I just remember like when I was not being myself, I was unhappy, and then when I was myself wearing these shoes, I was unhappy again. Like, be yourself. That is a hard piece of advice though, even for me who's grown up and not in school anymore. Being yourself is hard when you are a perfectionist, because it's like you don't know who you are. This is still my dilemma. If you've told yourself, do the right thing, just follow the rules, blend in, don't stand out, be by the book, get, you know, do well in your exams, do well in your job. Like, if you told yourself to be perfect and not stand out, it slowly becomes who you are, and you don't really know what your preferences are. You don't know what your likes are. Like, you literally don't know who you are. I feel like a lot of self-growth and like becoming a better person, like, you know, the self-development, self-improvement stuff, it's really popular at the minute. A lot of that is learning new things, learning new habits, new skills and stuff. But for me, I feel like a lot of it is unlearning. Like, I have to stop learning how to care what people think. I have to stop taking on board people's opinions. I have to stop learning like how to let criticism get to me. Like, I feel like I'm a good learner. I feel like a lot of us watching this video, if you're a perfectionist, you're probably a high achiever, because you know how to be good and be perfect and get things right. So you're probably like a high achiever. You know how to learn. But I think sometimes in our journey, in my journey for sure, it's like I've learned enough. I know a lot. I need to start to unlearn the bad stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like a little bit of a decluttering process. I'm hoarding stuff in my brain. Like, I need to unhoard. It's funny I say that, because the hoarding show, that, I can't even remember what it's called. That show where they used to get extreme hoarders, that's what it's called. I tried to look on Netflix the other day, it's not even on there, but that used to be one of my favourite shows back in the day. Another thing which she touched on briefly in the book, but I thought was a really big one, especially if you are someone ambitious, right? If you're a perfectionist and you are, you know, on this narrow, I feel like being a perfectionist, like visually, if you think about it, you're literally like narrowing yourself. Like, you're just saying, I'm gonna do the right thing, be perfect, follow the rules, tick all the boxes. Do you know what I mean? It's really narrow. But basically, when you're on that narrow path, it stops you from using like your gifts and your talents. Because, for example, say you're a really good dancer, like if you're too scared to be, you know, have imperfections and have flaws and dance badly, it means you're not going to follow your talent in that area. Like, what if you're talented at it, but, you know, you obviously, even if you're talented in something, you can have flaws, you can have bad days, you can mess up here and there. If you're a perfectionist, it's going to stop you using your talents in those other areas, like with cooking, with singing, with writing, with being on camera. If you want to start a YouTube, if you want to start a TikTok, if you're scared of what people will say, you're scared of the criticism, it's going to stop you from achieving your dreams. What if you have a dream of being someone famous? Like, being famous is a weird goal, but I know it's a popular goal. Like, some of the stuff, like, I get manifestation stuff on my TikTok For You page quite a lot, and I can just tell from the comments, like, a lot of people have this goal to be famous, which is totally fine. I had that goal, I still have that goal, I'm not even gonna lie, when I was growing up. But I think, going back to the point, if you are a perfectionist and you're scared to like break free from this narrow lane, what, like, you're on this narrow path, but what happens if there's stuff like little trees and little things in the plants that are, you know, your gifts? What am I actually trying to say? If you stay on that narrow path, you're not going to go off to the trees and go off to the plants to get your gifts. Does that make sense? I'm gonna cut that out. If you're on this narrow lane, you're not gonna see anything else outside of that path, because you're just too scared to look up and like see what else is out there in the world. Again, it's unlearning. It's unlearning, because I feel like now that I know this in my head, it's like, okay, fine. You know that being a perfectionist is bad. Not only is it bad, it stops you from getting to where you want to be. I want to be someone who's like, my goals now, speaking of perfectionism and stuff, my goals now is literally just to live my life and like be able to just express who I am properly. The next stage in my life, I really just want to like be able to express myself and not feel like I'm like in a cage, because I feel like that was me for a long time. And I'm sure some of you guys can relate. Like, if you're feeling lonely, sometimes you feel like you have to mold into someone else to make friends. So I'm trying to like break free from that now. That's like my biggest goal. And the last point, which I'll finish on, is if you think about you and the people in your life, even if there isn't many people, I'm sure you've got like one or two people that you genuinely love so much and you care about so much. When you think about why you love them, like genuinely just have a think for a second. Like I'm thinking, for example, for me, like my mum. Why do I love my mum? It's just because like she's so funny and she's just so like she makes me laugh. She's just like good vibes. I don't love her because she like is always correct, always doing things right. She passes every test. She drives perfectly. She definitely doesn't. Like, she always says the right things, she always does the right. I don't love her because she's perfect, I love her because she's imperfect. So just like you, I'm sure you have people in your life, you don't love them because they're perfect people. You don't love them because they're perfect and say the right things, do the right things all the time. You probably love them for their imperfections. So if you flip that, likewise, people will love you for your imperfections. You just have to let them show. Anyway, that is enough rambling. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it inspired you to let go of being perfect and more so embrace who you are, because that will literally, once you escape that narrow perfection path and you forget about that and you're like, no, I want to see what else is out there in the world, then you'll start to achieve some of the things you want to achieve. You'll use your gifts and you'll achieve big and yeah, I don't know, achieve your dreams. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one, and bye.